Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and iciest continent on Earth. It also has one of the harshest climates on our planet, so it's no surprise that it's so hard to get there. But why is it almost impossible to reach Antarctica? Let's find out in today's episode. Welcome back to the channel. Today we will take you to the most remote place on Earth, where very few people have ever set foot. This icy continent is shrouded in mystery and intrigue, making it all the more fascinating. We will explore the challenges and obstacles that make Antarctica so difficult to access and what it takes to reach this frozen wasteland. There are several reasons why Antarctica is so hard to get to. The first reason is the continent's geographical location. Antarctica is located at the South Pole, which makes it very far away from most major population centers. To reach Antarctica, you would need to travel over vast stretches of ocean, making it a long and arduous journey. But there is one thing that makes it nearly impossible for people to reach Antarctica. Antarctica is surrounded by some of the world's most treacherous waters, including the Southern Ocean and the Drake Passage. These waters are known for their rough conditions and high waves, which can make for a very dangerous crossing. Many ships have been lost in these waters, making it a risky journey for even the most experienced sailors. However, the Drake Passage is particularly notorious for its rough seas and unpredictable weather. Crossing the Drake Passage is often considered the most challenging part of any journey to Antarctica. The passage is approximately 600 miles wide and separates the southern tip of South America from the northern coast of Antarctica. The water temperature here rarely rises above freezing, and the strong currents can make for a very uncomfortable ride. But despite the dangers, many people still attempt to cross the Drake Passage each year to visit Antarctica. Those who do make the journey often describe it as an experience of a lifetime. The sight of the icy continent emerging from the mist is truly breathtaking. However, it's important to be prepared for the harsh conditions that Antarctica throws your way. And while the journey to Antarctica is not for the faint of heart, it is an adventure that will test your limits and leave you with memories that will last a lifetime. Now let's talk about the cold climate of Antarctica. Antarctica is known for its extremely cold temperatures. The average temperature in Antarctica is around -57 degrees Celsius, or -70 degrees Fahrenheit. At its coldest, Antarctica can reach temperatures of up to -90 degrees Celsius, or -130 degrees Fahrenheit. These temperatures make it very difficult for humans to survive without proper clothing and shelter. In fact, if you were to step out into the Antarctic climate without proper gear, you could quickly succumb to hypothermia or frostbite. The cold climate of Antarctica is due to the continent's high elevation and its geographic location at the South Pole. Because Antarctica is so far away from the equator, it receives very little direct sunlight. And because it's so high up, it's also far away from the warming effects of the ocean. These factors combine to create an environment that is very difficult for humans to survive in. But Antarctica's climate is not just cold, it's also dry. Antarctica is a desert, and it receives very little precipitation. This dryness makes it even more difficult for humans to survive in Antarctica, as it can lead to dehydration. Despite the challenges posed by Antarctica's climate, humans have still managed to explore and study the continent. Researchers have made incredible discoveries in Antarctica, from new species of wildlife to evidence of past life on the continent. But it's important to remember that Antarctica is a hostile environment, and it should be treated with respect. If you ever plan on visiting Antarctica, be sure to come well prepared. Another reason why it's almost impossible to reach Antarctica is the lack of infrastructure. Antarctica is a very remote continent with very little infrastructure. There are no roads, railways, or other forms of transportation that connect the different parts of the continent. This makes it very difficult to travel around Antarctica. In addition to the lack of infrastructure, Antarctica is also very isolated. There are no towns or cities on the continent, which means that if you do manage to get there, you will be completely alone. This isolation makes it very difficult to get help if you need it. And this is another challenge that makes Antarctica so hard to get to. However, despite the challenges, there are still a few ways to reach Antarctica. The most common way to get to Antarctica is by boat. Many expedition ships travel to Antarctica each year, to allow tourists to experience the continent for themselves. But you can also get to Antarctica by plane. There are a few small airports in Antarctica, and you can fly there from New Zealand or Chile. But flying to Antarctica is much more expensive than taking a boat. And now we come to the final reason why it's almost impossible to reach Antarctica. It's very expensive. Reaching Antarctica is an expensive endeavor. Not only do you have to pay for transportation to the continent, but you also have to pay for specialized equipment and clothing. In addition, you may also need to hire a guide or join an expedition team. All of these costs can add up quickly, making it a very expensive adventure. The remoteness of Antarctica, its challenging climate and lack of infrastructure all contribute to the expense of reaching the continent. Transportation to Antarctica is not cheap, and the cost can be prohibitive for many people. However, despite the expense, many people still make the journey to Antarctica each year. For those who have the means to do so, the experience of visiting this remote continent is truly unique and unforgettable. It's worth noting that Antarctica is also subject to the Antarctic Treaty System, which regulates all activities on the continent. This system was created to protect the unique environment of Antarctica and to ensure that it is used for peaceful purposes only. As a result, there are strict rules and regulations governing what you can and cannot do in Antarctica. And these regulations make it even harder for people to reach Antarctica. But despite all the challenges, there are still people who dream of visiting Antarctica. For some, it's the ultimate adventure. For others, it's a chance to learn more about our planet and its history. Whatever the reason, the allure of Antarctica continues to fascinate and inspire people around the world. So whether you're watching this from a cozy cabin in the snow, or from the comfort of your own home, we hope that you enjoyed learning about one of the most remote and mysterious places on Earth. Antarctica is truly a continent like no other, and we hope that you'll keep dreaming big and exploring new horizons. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery, and we'll see you next time. Now let's move on to the most frequently asked questions about Antarctica. Why is Antarctica so cold? As we mentioned earlier in the video, Antarctica is located at the South Pole and receives very little direct sunlight. This, combined with its high elevation and distance from the equator, creates an environment that is very difficult for humans to survive in. Is Antarctica a desert? Yes, Antarctica is a desert. In fact, it's the largest desert on Earth. Antarctica receives very little precipitation, which is one of the reasons why it's so hard for humans to survive on the continent. How much does it cost to go to Antarctica? Reaching Antarctica is an expensive endeavor. The cost of transportation, specialized equipment, and clothing, as well as the cost of hiring a guide or joining an expedition team, can quickly add up. Are there any animals in Antarctica? Yes, Antarctica is home to a variety of wildlife, including penguins, seals, and whales. Despite the harsh conditions, Antarctica is a thriving ecosystem. What is the history of exploration in Antarctica? Antarctica was first sighted by humans in 1820, and since then, explorers from all over the world have ventured to the continent to learn more about it. From the first explorers to the modern day, humans have been fascinated by Antarctica. We hope that you found these answers helpful and that they've helped you to learn more about Antarctica. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.